nose to the yellow line, makes the pass, gets cleared of that 48 car. Now he's in third, looking for second. Sean Powell, the next car ahead. But behind Verga now is going to be Sean Ryan looking for fourth, and more actually moves here, almost contacting the 27 of Reinscheld and the 6 of Snelson. Out of 2, more contact if they get it straightened out for turn 3.
Yeah, they banged doors off turn number 2, and that's going to send Perry Snelson up the racetrack in turns 3 and 4 for the time being. He's got the number 70 of Doug Lemons under him for that 9th place position, 8th place rather, as the 6 of Perry Snelson will fall back into that 9th place position and just barely up ahead. It's just a little small group of cars, and Sean Ryan looks like he's almost under attack by number 32 of Brent Keith.
Yeah, absolutely, and here we go. Just a lot of battlings going on. This is a short track race, so expect a lot of battles throughout the racetrack all night long, and expect to get a little bit of a tempers flaring, especially since this is a playoff race and a lot of drivers are going for position out here tonight. You can tell the playoff drivers by their blue numbers and their blue spoilers on the back of their trucks.
Yeah, Trevor, hopefully we can get that playoff grid on screen at some point tonight. If not, essentially, like I mentioned at the top of the show, Sean Powell in the 41, already locked in by virtue of being your regular series champion. And then Malik Ray is also locked into the second round, the round of 12, by virtue of the Las Vegas Motor Speedway win last time out. And really, this is a big opportunity here for Brandon Holder, starting from the pole, has led all 6 laps so far, but he's got Sean Powell on his bumper. Currently, it's lap 7 of 200. It's still really early, but I guarantee you that 41 still wants to assert his dominance so far in this series, wants to stay in the lead as much as he can. But right now, Brandon Holder doing a great job of doing just that, holding on to the lead. And this is a great opportunity for him to make some ground up here in the playoffs.
Yeah, Holder's doing a great job, like you mentioned, holding that lead, just making sure that he's still out in front of that 41 Sean Powell. Sean hasn't really made a move as of yet. And of course, but that distance between second and third is such an insane amount, as the distance right now, Sean Powell looks to the inside off turn number 4, but of course there isn't enough momentum for that number 41. So just, well, never mind. Caution's actually on the raceway. That's for, I believe, the 95 of Tyler Hayes, and it is.
And so we'll get the replay up on your screen here. Where it is, it was Tyler Hayes. It definitely was. So as we get the replay up, this is just a single car incident for the Moon Pie number 95 of Tyler Hayes. Goes off into turn 1, and guys, it's a very tricky racetrack, Richmond, with trying to balance brake bias to try and get your truck or car, whatever it may be, to actually rotate through the center of the corner. And I think Tyler Hayes just has too much rear bias, gone into the brakes just a little bit too tough off into turn 1. And turn 1 is already pretty slick under braking. Just gets loose, doesn't quite hang on to it, does a quick 360, gets back going. No harm, no foul, but this definitely does interrupt the battle up ahead. Obviously now Brandon Holder has to go through another restart.
Yes, he does, and you just got to make sure that your car is under control for yourself, and you just got to make sure everything is working out pretty well. I was talking to some guys pre-race, and they said that their car was loose coming, from practice. So just watch out for that, and watch out for all these drivers coming down pit road, Andrew.
And speaking of drivers heading down the pit lane, we will be speaking to Brad Neer throughout this race. Again, as I mentioned, he is our in-race reporter tonight in that number 9 truck. We won't talk to him under this yellow, though. It's still really early. Want to give him a chance to actually give us some feedback about the race and how the truck is handling. But right now, in the pit lane, every truck comes in. Going to go ahead and get for Mr. Fieldgoods, and actually someone missed the box there. It looks like it may have been the 6, actually, of Perry Snelson, who is just behind our in-race reporter of Brad Neer. And trucks leaving the pit lane already. Going to be, it looks like, I think that might be the 41 that beat him out. That was the 41 that exits first.
Great job by the 41, and you are correct, Andrew. That was the 6 of Perry Snelson. Overshot his pit stall ever so slightly. So not really a good moment for him. And I believe Sean Powell may have actually gotten a speeding penalty off pit row. Going to double check on that. Yeah, he definitely did. That pit speed is 50 miles an hour, and while leaving pit road, he was very, very eager. It got up to 54 miles an hour just before he exited the pit road. So unfortunately, he'll have to fall back early on, but he does have about well over 100 laps to make up all these positions.
Pit speed is actually 40 miles an hour, so that makes it even more interesting that he was doing 54 there. at the pit exit. But this essentially is a big old do-over for John Verga here in the 48, who's going to get to line up on the outside of Brandon Holder one more time, see if he can hang on this time and actually hang on to his position rather than just falling victim to these guys at the start of this run. Obviously, Richmond generally is a bottom line track until you get it rubbered in, and you can tell just by looking at this racetrack, it's not rubbered in at all. It is very, very fresh, so we're really going to be watching a bottom line dominant race here tonight, Trevin, and that's really, really going to hurt those that are starting on the outside.
Yeah, when you're starting on the outside, your first thought is, you need to get down to that bottom line, because obviously you will get freight trained on that bottom, and all these drivers are going to be fighting for position. That was really what breeds cautions over cautions, because these drivers are trying to get down and they try to clear themselves when they really aren't clear, so they go down and they catch a bumper or they catch a right rear quarter panel, and then it just sends a car into the outside or inside wall. So you just got to watch out for that, got to be patient, got to bide your time. It is a long race. We're 13 laps into this one. I understand that it's the playoffs, and some drivers have already have pushed themselves into the round of 12 for the bomb track fabrication playoffs here, but you just got to be patient. You just got to make sure that you're there at the end of the day.
And as Trevin mentioned earlier on in the show, you can tell which drivers are participating in the bomb track fabrication playoffs by noting the blue numbers, blue spoilers, and even blue windshield banners on their race vehicles here tonight. We see, it looks like, I think, 6 out of the top 7 here are all playoff drivers, so that's going to be important here on this restart. John Verga, the only one of those top 7 that is not in the playoffs. Coming to the restart here this time by Brandon Holder, gets to try and hang on to that lead one more time on this restart, but John Verga gets a do-over, coming to the green flag once more. Same front row as the start, but everything else is mixed up. The 5 truck in control of the restart. He fires off and away. Green flag back on the speedway. Matt Kingsbury to second place with that big jump over John Verga. And a big move to the inside. I think that's Doug Lemons.
Yeah, that is Doug Lemons. A great move as the 48 was completely caught off guard. Well, unfortunately, that do-over didn't work out so well, as he has Sean Rad now to his inside, coming into turns 3 and 4, cuts the nose off ever so slightly, and second and back on slightly, falling back. A little bit of contact between 27 and 32. That's 27 of Sky Rhineshield almost made contact, just a little bit coming off turn number 4 with Brent Key.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of contact, almost contact, maybe between Doug Lemons and Matt Kingsbury. A lot of fighting happening on between these two. Brandon Holder obviously not made his way into the next round. He wants to keep that spot. Matt Kingsbury and Doug Lemons also want to solidify themselves, as Doug will go underneath the 21, try to make it stick on that low side, but the 21 has a little bit more momentum coming off on that top side. Richmond is such an interesting track. You gotta love the kind of lines that these people are going to run all night long. Top side coming in right now. It's going to come in over as the track gets rubbered in, and these drivers are going to have a lot more fun time. We're going to have a lot more fun time seeing these guys battle on and off the track.
Yeah, Trevor, the top side is certainly opening up to a point. I think it's opening up for defensive purposes only, though. I don't think it's going to work for offensive moves here for these race trucks tonight. But it certainly, over the course of 200 laps, it will open up eventually, as Kingsbury is definitely doing an A-plus job of defending that position so far. He's actually gaining right now on Brandon Holder. That's the interesting thing there, is he's cutting off the nose of Doug Lemons and running a slightly higher line and making up time with Brandon Holder. The 5 truck noticed that. He started to modify his line as well. And again, these 3 all looking to secure a position in the round of 12 of the bomb track fabrication playoffs, and that is extremely important. Even Sean Ryan in the 04 in 5th place currently, he's looking for a position in the next round of the playoffs in the round of 12. He goes for a position underneath John Verga, actually. He's going to move up to 4th place now, so the top 4 all playoff contenders.
Yep, and that may, I was about to say that may be not for long, but the 48, John Verga, decided not to make a move down to the inside, although it did look like on the front straightaway, but smart move to not really try and chance any moves early on for this race, especially for position number 4. Everyone's already completely spread out for the most part, and looking back through the field, well, not really a lot going on aside from Keith Stewart. He's defending against Ryan Lang. That's for position number 19, and while Stewart, of course, is still in as of last week. So Keith Stewart barely hanging on, and he's doing a great job at it for the time being.
Yeah, absolutely. This playoff separate is going to be so tight as the weeks come on, and all these drivers do such a great job as of right now, and the top 3 throw them under a blanket. Doug Lemon's still under or pressuring Matt Kingsbury. I don't think he wants to get too close, because as you guys know, if they run side by side for too long, that would just give Brandon Holder a whole entire different advantage and be able to pull him away, rather than having that 0.2 of a second lead right now. These guys doing a great job battling amongst each other, but also being able to keep Brandon Holder right in their grasp.
Yeah, Doug Lemons is an experienced driver here on iRacing. I'm sure the rest of these guys are too, but I know Doug for sure at this point just wants to sit behind and wait for an opportunity. Obviously, if you go up there, like you mentioned, Trevin, if you start battling Matt Kingsbury right now, you're just going to slow each other down. You're not going to go catch Brandon Holder. So what you have to do if you're Doug Lemons in the 70 truck right now is just wait for an opportunity. If you get a hole to the inside to make a pass, go ahead, explore that hole, but definitely don't force anything right now. It's far too early as these guys come up on a lap truck. That is going to be Brad Patterson, actually, in the 42. He's 5 laps down currently, giving another lap here to the leader. She'll go 6 laps down. He's currently in 28th. It looks like a couple of drivers are actually already over 15 laps down. Damian Plessimer and Bobby Everhart in the 81 and 71 respectively. Back up to the lead, though. Brandon Holder doing a great job of holding these two off, and really the rest of the front of the field is doing a great job at just sitting single file, understanding it's very early, but definitely still trying to make up some ground.
Yeah, most definitely, Andrew. And the one thing that I've been noticing is that entering turns 1 and 2, at least the last time around, Doug Lemons was using a lower line as compared to your front 2 runners, Kingsbury and Holder. We'll see this time around, yeah, just a little bit of a lower entry, and that keeps giving that momentum to that number 70 of Lemons. But like we mentioned, is that since it is too early on to make a move, what you want to do if you're Doug Lemons is hope that, in this case, Kingsbury catches up to Holder. They battle side by side. Let them do all the work, or let Kingsbury do all the work if he does choose to go to the inside. Follow that number 21 truck through, and, well, next thing you know, you'd be in second place. But Doug Lemons right now just filling up that back mirror of that number 21.
Yeah, just got to make sure, if you cannot get around him due to speed, just make sure you're always going to be filling his mirror, because it's going to get more and more intense as the playoffs and the races go on. So you got to try different kinds of things. But behind them, good separation between them. Just doing a great job as well. And now the number 70, Doug Lemons, looks to the low side of the number 21. Isn't able to get it done. Here he goes again, going to dive it in and almost taps him on that left rear quarter panel. Andrew just getting really, really intense now. Lap 31 here at Richmond.
Yeah, again, I want to stress that Doug is definitely not going to force anything too aggressively, but he definitely wants to get by this 21 truck. He definitely wants by Kingsbury, because every position is going to affect the rest of the race. It might not seem like making one pass here. Actually, he goes down the bottom side, completes that pass almost. No, he's not clear. Contact there, and then actually wrinkled the right rear of the bumper on the number 70. But man, he wasn't quite clear. Definitely drifted up out of turn 4. I think he definitely expected to be clear, and Kingsbury just didn't quite want to give that position away, but he also realized, yeah, this is still early. If he wants to be aggressive, give it to him now. He can get back at it, and Kingsbury doing a great job of just getting back into line after that excursion, I suppose, out of turn 4. Doug Lemons makes the pass, and it dents up, again, his right rear side of that bumper, but he at least gets the position, and as the caution flies on the speedway, we'll go ahead and check on that and give you a replay.
That's the front straightaway, the 31 of Ryan Lang. And it looks like off turn number 4, it's just a solo spin. Hello, goodness gracious. He almost actually collected another driver, and that was the 56 of Kerry Allen Stewart. Again, almost collected, but Kerry Stewart, he was very lucky not to get involved in that.
And as you see that solo spin on your replay here, that does mean pit road is going to open up. Means we'll try and contact Brad Neer under this yellow flag as we get ready for pit stops from the front of the field. Again, I'd expect most of these guys to come back in. Obviously, if we're seeing a truck go around just on his own, getting a little bit loose out of turn 4, it means these tires must be starting to wear away, guys. So as Brandon Holder leads the field down the green flag, we will speak with the Amsoil in-race reporter of Brad Neer here in just a moment. I would expect all these guys to get 4 tires.
Yeah, I don't think that there'd be any other call, especially at a short track like this one, because, after a certain amount of time on these tires, you get to know these tires, and you feel the way that iRacing has done such a great job with this service and knowing when your tires are going away due to visual cues, and you can just feel it slipping out from under you. They do such a great job, as now the number 21, I believe it was, came out in front of the number 5, so that's going to change up a little bit. That's Matt Kingsbury up into first place now.
Ends of the race out the pit lane goes to the number 21 of Matt Kingsbury. That's going to relegate the number 5 of Brandon Holder, who had held the pole position or first position all race long until this point. He's going to be relegated back to second position here out of the pit lane, and that actually does not change third place too much. Doug Lemons will actually take over third place, falling back one position to Kingsbury, which actually, I think we may have had a two-tire call out of Mike Bruno here. He's going to gain a ton of positions, go from midfield to fourth place. Scotty Reinscheld with a similar move, but not as many positions gained there. Might have just taken 4, but definitely some pit strategy early on. Not sure if I would take 2 tires yet, but down to Trevin, who is with our in-race reporter.
Down here with our AMSOIL in-race reporter, Brad, you got a copy?
Yes, sir, guys. Loud and clear.
Brad, we see you running P9, top 10, pretty well to start off this race. Really, what is the hardest part of this card to this track? Because it is a short track, and I know these tires go away so quickly.
It's just so slick, especially into turn 1 and out of turn 4. It's hard to keep the rear tires on it.
Yeah, absolutely. We see you guys having a little bit of problems left and right, but you know, you guys keep it so straight and so great. You know, how long does it take for these tires to really start giving away, where it's like to the point where the handling is so brutal?
Oh, probably about 12 or 15 laps. They really start getting soupy and sliding around.
Absolutely. And how are you feeling going into the rest of this race, knowing that this track is very slick and not really a lot of time to make passes, so you got to get going?
I'm just points racing tonight. I just want to survive this race after last week. I just want a good points night, so staying out of trouble is my number 1 goal.
Absolutely. And thank you for talking to us. That was our AMSOIL in-race reporter. Hope to speak to you later.
Thanks, guys.
All right, and you heard it from him. You know, you're just trying to survive this first race. So you just got to do everything that you can to survive it, especially since it's, you know, a big race tonight.
Yeah, Brad Neer, our AMSOIL in-race reporter, has a bit of a cushion back to the cutoff line. Good to hear from him. We'll talk to him more throughout the night, and we'll keep an eye on him more as the event rages on. Coming to the green flag, though, Matt Kingsbury in control of the race for the first time tonight. Brandon Holder relegating that first position for now. Kingsbury coming to the green flag, waiting. Green flag in the air. He's off and away and has about 3 car lengths by the start-finish line. Off into turn 1, Doug Lemons looking for P2 to the inside of Brandon Holder, going to take it, and some more moves behind them. Mike Bruno going to fall into 4th place.
Yeah, that's Reinscheld that's right behind him. He made a move to the inside. Brent Keith in turns 1 and 2 and nearly collected him, and then just in the background, actually. Looks like the number 85, that is Paul Bliss, took a move to the inside of Marshall Berry. They're battling for their own position just at the outside of the top 10. Looks like position number 7. They have quickly single-filed out. Kingsbury is in the lead, Doug Lemons in 2nd. And then Brandon Holder is currently 3rd.
Yeah, we're all getting a little antsy right now, because it is, you know, a race where things need to happen, and you know, you only have one more race after this one to get yourself into that next bomb track fabrication playoff round. So a lot of drivers looking to get something done today. You know, I'm sure that you don't just want to make it on points. You want to solidify yourself into that next round with a win here tonight at Richmond. So we're going to see a lot of aggressive, you know, strategies here tonight, and you know, it's a short track, so a lot of things can happen.
Yeah, Trevor, this is a driver's track in a way, at least compared to the other 2 races in this round. These NASCAR trucks really are almost pin it and almost send it for Las Vegas and Charlotte, another 1.5s. But you come to a 3/4 mile short track like Richmond, and you really have to drive this thing. You can't leave anything at the door. You have to bring all of your talent in. You have to see who's going to be the fastest. Clearly, we're seeing Matt Kingsbury was the fastest in pit lane, but we know how this saga ends, guys. guys. The 70 got by the 21 earlier on, although Matt Kingsbury probably will not give that position quite as easily as he did earlier on. Brandon Holder waiting for the chance to pounce, and Mike Bruno trying to play catch-up.
And Bruno is just hanging in the back right there, just behind Brandon Holder. And something that's that's quite interesting is that the top three, double checking, and yes, I am correct. Actually, Brendan Holder, Doug Lemons, who's still continuing to try and get by Kingsbury, as Andrew mentioned, had gotten by Kingsbury earlier in the race before the caution. The top three of these drivers are not. Well, they are, of course, in, but not one of them has a win as of yet. So right now, it's going to be paying off for either Kingsbury, Lemons, or more than likely Holder, who is also definitely in. Almost 1, 2, 3 in that order, actually. And caution is out on the raceway.
Caution out once more. We'll look for this. We'll hunt it down and get you a replay on your screen as soon as we can. There was a lot of cars actually that packed up after that one. And actually, it looks like it's going to be contact off in turn 1, possibly with the number 24 car of, let's see if I can find him actually. Everett Lane, sorry about that. Everett Lane off into turn 1. Yeah, actually, he got hit, I believe, by Doyle Lawrence, the Raven Graphics Chevrolet. And it was really a lazy spin to begin with, and then he just caught it. So that was very interesting there. He just gets hit, goes sideways for half a moment, gets it straightened back out thanks to the banking here at Richmond, and moves on. I don't think he's going to have any issue after that one. Definitely just using up the left side of that truck.
Yeah, as you saw there on the AMSOIL replay, these drivers doing everything that they can, and, just sometimes you aren't clear and you think you are and you go down and there's a car there, unfortunately. But, great job done by these drivers to keep it straight and not collect more than that one car involved, and great evasive maneuver as we have more drivers down pit lane. One thing I have noticed is Sean Ryan, he's had a lot of trouble going in his pit stall. It's because he is really on that end part right there before it kinks off. You really have a hard time going into that pit stall, but these drivers still doing a great job throughout here, as we do have a new leader. That's Tim Marlowe coming out in front of the number 70 of Doug Lemons, and Matt Kingsbury will be third.
And the race off pit lane changes things up once more. It's going to be, as you mentioned, Trevin, Tim Marlowe leading the field out of the pit lane, now out of turn 4 to the pace car. And that puts Doug Lemons back in P2, and he's got to be getting tired of that. That will be the second restart consecutively that Doug Lemons lines up second place. At least by my count, although it's showing Everett Lane suddenly in second place. But I think it's just a timing and scoring issue. It should put Doug Lemons in second. Third is going to be Matt Kingsbury, and so that is a battle that I guess is going to be reversed on this restart. And again, it's really early, but we are now a quarter of the way into this race, guys, and things are going to start to pick up if they hadn't already been exciting. Obviously, you've got the impending points battle. You only have 2 trucks that are locked in. We haven't really seen much of Sean Powell since the early runnings here tonight at Richmond. And Malik Ray is the other locked-in driver. We haven't seen him at all. Actually, he's, I think, waiting on a wave around here in just a moment, Gary. So, really, it's just straight-up racing up in the front for these guys that are looking for a way into the next round. You have the whole top 4 right now currently made up of playoff drivers.
Yeah, the entire top 4, top 5 has pretty much been all playoff drivers for the most part, and unfortunately, just a quick point about Everett Lane. He's still 6 points out, and while he's the second to last driver in the playoff 16, the round of 16 standing. So unfortunately, more bad luck for Everett Lane, but he does have next week to look forward to.
And so as we begin to prepare for this restart here in just a moment, quickly want to mention Bomb Track Fabrication specializes in building custom race cars and CNC machine chassis components for both racing and industrial sectors. All their components are made in the USA. For more information on how to get free shipping and 5% off your first order, go to bombtrackfabrication.com. Again, they are our playoff sponsors, so quickly want to stress, as we have been all night, this Bomb Track Fabrication playoffs is going to be exciting for the rest of the season. We've been talking about it all night long, guys. only have 2 drivers locked in. Everybody else here that you see with a blue splitter, a blue number, a blue windshield banner, they are vying for a win to get into the round of 12 or just to point their way in. Obviously, several drivers are going to point their way in. 10 positions still open among 14 drivers who are looking to get in. And as we come to the green flag once more, Tim Marlowe in control of the field, bringing the field down to the green flag, goes off and away, and Kingsbury now looking to the inside of Doug Lemons. We've seen this over and over now on these restarts. Third place gets to jump on second, and now it's going to be Kingsbury side by side with Lemons, makes that pass. Bruno to the inside.
And Mike Bruno is really starting to push now, but no, there goes the sound of Doug Lemons down to the inside to make a move for second. So not too long, and they make contact off turn number 4, just ever so slightly bang doors. Doesn't look like anything has been majorly damaged, but goodness gracious, the 70 of Lemons not letting the 21 Kingsbury really enjoy that second place position for the 3rd time in a row essentially for this race. And now that 27 is getting hounded on by the number 5 Brendan Holder for P3.
Yeah, these guys are fighting every second for this position. You know, you do not want to go into the next race at Charlotte with a must-win situation. I'm sure these guys all want to go in tonight knowing that they don't really need to worry about points throughout this next week. But, you know, there's only one spot at the end of this thing that can be forward more, so we'll have to see which driver takes that, whether that's a bomb track fabrication playoff driver or just a regular driver. You know, that's the cool thing about NASCAR and this kind of series, that it's not just the playoff drivers here, it is the regular series driver that can throw a wrench into things and get to the front as well. So you got to watch out for that, and watch out for a regular number or colored number to play spoiler tonight. Andrew.
And Doug Lemons continuing his assault on a fellow bomb track fabrication playoff driver, Matt Kingsbury. So they've swapped positions again. And Kingsbury, I think, is going to play harder and harder to get by, almost like Ryan Newman, as the 70 continues his assault on that number 21. But looking back through the field a little bit, let's try and give the rest of the field some love. Mike Bruno into 5th place. He's hanging on to that position pretty solidly in front of a playoff contender duo, actually, between Scotty Reinscheld and Brent Keith. These two have been going at it pretty cleanly for the last few laps. The 05 Marshall Berry also back here battling just inside the top 10. With the 41, Sean Powell, our only locked-in driver by virtue of the regular season, whereas Malik Gray won last week at Las Vegas to be locked in. Those are the only two that are locked in. Rounding out your top 10 currently is Paul Bliss. These guys are just nose to tail kind of riding around right now, Gary.
That's pretty smart to just lay low for the time being, lay single file, not really make any big moves, maybe a position change once in a while if you do think you have the momentum to do so. And well, that's pretty much been the story between the 21 and the 70 for pretty much this entire race for the time being. Almost 60 laps complete as of right now. We're working lap 60, and Doug Lemons is going back to that old line that he's been using for the previous 60 laps, minus the cautions, of course, but Brendan Holder is not going to give that up, and it looks like Lemons will, in fact, let him by. So the original top 3 that we've had for a small majority of this race so far is almost really reformed, except Tim Marlowe is out in front and Kingsbury is chasing him down.
Yeah, and another battle for position is going on for that top 3 spot, that podium position. Brandon Holder moving his way on from 1st to 3rd under, these cautions really get him. You know, it's not just a race on the track, it is a race on pit road as well. You got to have the best in and outs on there. You know, you're with so many cars down pit road, it's so easy to fall back in position. Brandon Holder has been victim twice under these cautions, and he's getting pressured by the number 70 of Doug Lemons, still keeping that mirror full of everything that there is. And you know, the intensity is only going to pick up because we only have 140 laps to go here at Richmond, and those will click off very quickly. We're only 30 minutes into this race, and it's already 63 laps down. So you know, it's just going to go ever so quickly. You know, it's a short track, so you're constantly turning that wheel.
Yeah, you know, at a 2.5 mile speedway like Daytona, you maybe think 200 miles is, or 200 laps rather, is an excruciating amount of time. But when you come to a place like Richmond, only 3/4 of a mile, as previously mentioned, those 200 laps might seem a bit, I guess, astounding coming into the race. But really, that's not much. This race has been going by relatively quickly, as you guys have both touched on. We're almost already halfway in. We're actually working laps 65 of 200, and these guys are still riding around right now, but I guarantee once we get to about halfway, we're going to start to see the intensity pick up, and it's going to be, I think, a slow climb, but eventually these guys are going to run out of time to just simply wait. So we're going to see some bigger moves like we've already seen out of guys like Doug Lemons start to ramp up and start to become more frequent and more aggressive even as these guys are going for every position they can to increase their playoff hopes. And quickly want to mention some of the guys that are fighting their way in. Those would be the 7 of Keith Stewart, the 04 of Sean Ryan, the 24 of Everett Lane, who spawned just a little while ago, brought out our most recent caution. He's actually getting closer and closer to being lapped by these leaders, as well as the 28 of Tim Marlowe, who's actually our leader. So, again, I think this goes back to this being a driver's race in a way, in comparison to a place like Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where it's less of just, completely like the stamp and send it, leave the throttle down, and more of really finessing these corners.
And to the inside now for 5th place goes Brendan Holder, 4th place rather. Second, goodness gracious, as well, Brendan Holder in the number 5 will finally advance his position back up to 2nd, gained by Kingsbury. So now we do have essentially what we had for the top 3, which is Holder, Kingsbury, and Lemons, except they're 2nd through 4th this time. So Tim Marlowe, like you mentioned, Andrew, this is quite exciting as going to come up on some lap traffic and getting out of the way for the leaders on them. So Tim Marlowe, he's dead last, 13 points out of the cut line heading into this, and he's in the lead. So that's just all based on pit strategy as well. So it's very, very great. It has to be great for Tim Marlowe to see that he's already up in the 1st place position, but now he'll have to make it around to the actual end of the race, and then he can finally relax as he'll make his way by Everett Lane, who unfortunately is just coming into this race at least 15th in the playoff standings.
Yeah, and it's a great job done by Tim Marlowe. He knows he has to win either this race or the next one to advance himself into the bomb track fabrication round of 12. Just a great sense of urgency from him, knowing what has to be done. I'm sure he made a plan before he came in here tonight, and he's executing it very well, as we have a lot of drivers going around the number 24 of Everett Lane. He's sticking up high side for all these drivers to get around him. The top 4 are all playoff drivers, so, they're showing that they do deserve to be inside playoff contention, because they are the fastest of the fastest here tonight at Richmond and every single night, because only the best of the best will make it into the round of 16. Number 19 of Mike Bruno will be the first car that isn't a playoff contender, and he's fighting for position. The number 70 of Doug Lemons goes way high near number 1. That will give way to Mike Bruno to make that pass to the top 4. Now Doug Lemons needs to press on back, and this is getting to the point where the tires are really starting to fall off, and that slickness is really coming into play, Andrew.
Yeah, Mike Bruno, for just about the last 50 of 75 laps, has been the one spoiler up in the front of the field, keeping us from having an entire playoff contender top 10. And it's a shame he isn't in the bomb track fabrication playoffs, because he was there last week as well. He almost won that race where Malik Ray actually ended up taking the win, but Mike Bruno was in contention all race long and almost had it. Now he's looking to the inside of Matt Kingsbury. He doesn't quite get there, but that 19 has speed, and I've seen him in many races before have speed, and it really is a shame that he isn't in these bomb track fabrication playoffs, but obviously it shows that he's got something for next season should he stick around. But meanwhile, Doug Lemon's starting to slip back, and that's really unfortunate for him. Obviously, more, I guess, wide scope than just losing positions, because every point's going to matter. We've seen NASCAR championships decided by exactly 0 points and simply on wins. So every point matters, even if it may not seem like it now. It's going to impact you down the road. So a position now, again, might not seem like anything now, but down the road, it's going to come into play as Bruno looks to the inside of Kingsbury. That would be for 3rd position, so that 19 really starting to assert that he has speed.
The 19 to Bruno, and you did mention that points may not be anything right now, but they will down the road. Well, coming into this race, and I believe the points would pretty much go by positions like it does for the actual playoffs. And a little bit of a tap from the 19 of Bruno. That sends a 21 sideways off turn number 2. I was about to say, as a caution more than likely will come out, there it is. I was about to say that the points I thought would be based on at least the positioning of the drivers on the raceway. Well, unfortunately, that's definitely the case, as Doug Lemons has now essentially moved up to more than likely 5th in the playoff standings, at least heading into this race, just going off of those stats. But my goodness, well, Bruno, unfortunately, more than likely did not mean to do that, but unfortunately, though, that's going to leave Kingsbury to try and make up those positions as soon as possible.
Playoff implications as we get the Amsoil replay up on your screen here. And speaking of Amsoil, the Amsoil 19 just barely got into the left rear of the 21 truck of Matt Kingsbury. And again, nothing intentional there. It's simply a racing deal, literally just racing contact. And it was such slight contact, and these trucks get so out of shape as soon as you barely tap them. That's what happens, and especially out of an already loose corner. Kingsbury just went around, and there's actually another truck around further back. I think that's Bobby Everhart in the 71. Thankfully, I don't think he's a playoff contender, so we don't have to worry about that. But Kingsbury isn't going to have any damage to speak of, but certainly Pride is going to be a little bit hurt.
Oh, absolutely. And, you just got to bounce back now. You're in 16th position. You know that you have a lot to go through. And, you do know that you have a fast truck here tonight at Richmond. So it's not that bad. You still have over 100 laps to go, 120 to be exact. But, it does really, demoralize you a little bit knowing that you have to work your way back through the field. But great job done by these guys. And I'm sure that he'll be back up in the front by no time.
And speaking of guys who are working their way to get to the front, I believe Gary is sitting trackside with our Amsoil in-race reporter. That's Brad Neer, the number 9 truck.
Yep, standing here with the number 9. Let's see if we can get him on here. Brad Neer, do you have a copy on us?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Well, last time we talked with you were just inside the top 10. You're essentially in the relatively same position now, just outside of it. So not too bad of a night for you as of right now. How's that green flag run out there?
Oh, the more rubber the track gets down, the better the trucks are feeling. So if we could just get some long green flag runs, I think you would really see, some pretty good racing.
Yeah, this racing so far has been pretty good. Single file for the most part. Have you expected anything other than that?
No, I didn't expect it to be real eventful. Hopefully it stays that way.
Well, hopefully we also hope that it does stay single file for the most part for the rest of this race as well. So we're actually going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations on the rest of this race.
Alrighty, thanks guys.
And again, that was our Amsoil in-race reporter, Brad Neer, in the number 9. Good to have him around, and good to talk with a driver that kind of gives us insight on what's going on the track during this race. Obviously, we can speculate all we want, but we aren't in the trucks ourselves. I do want to mention that Matt Kingsbury and Mike Bruno were both sent to the rear for this restart. I think that's a good deal there. Again, I think that's just a complete racing deal. Just a little bit of contact out of turn number 2, and they moved on. There's no damage. It's really just a racing incident there. But as we get ready to go back green, want to mention Brandon Holder has been through a bit of a roller coaster ride, but really has not left this top 5, I don't think. He's still up there, and he's actually going to be restarting on the outside of the front row once more. So that 5 truck, look for him to make something happen here as the top lane starts to open up just a little bit here, Trevin. And as we come back to the green flag, it's going to be Tim Marlowe still in control of this restart. Coming to the green flag. Green flag is back out. Now, Trevin, watch this number 5 try and get in line here ahead of Doug Lemons, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to do it.
No, he's not going to be able to do it at all. He'd wasted too much time on that restart. There he goes. He has a window right there. Let's see if he takes it. He does. He will file into line 3rd. Now he's going to go below Doug Lemons. Let's see if he can make that pass going into turn number 3. He has fresh tires on. Everybody does. So if the move's going to be made, it's made now, and it is. He will take that 2nd place back from Doug Lemons, and Doug Lemons is going to fight back on that low side this is exactly the kind of excitement that you will see with fresher tires going down the backstretch now. The number 41 of Sean Powell patiently waiting, knowing that he had already gotten himself into the bomb track fabrication round of 12. So he is just sitting pretty.
And the 85, meanwhile, in the back of Paul Bliss, well, he had completely made a dive down to the inside, and the number 27 just one lap ago. Now he finally gets by that 27 of Ryan Shields. So Bliss now up into position at number 5. I believe we now have, let's see, 3, 4, 5. Whoa, a little bit loose off the corner was the number 70 of Doug Lemons, but down to the inside, he's going to get caught up into this battle, as I believe we have top 7 full of playoff drivers. So this is going to get very, very exciting really, really quickly, as I believe Doug Lemons actually had gotten loose off turn number 4. So now he's going to be under attack by Ryan Shield. Almost gets a little piece of the bumper there from that 27. Ryan Shield is from position number 4 heading into turn number 1.
The cream is rising to the top, guys, as it's all blue spoilers and blue numbers up in the front. Contact there in turns 1 and 2 with the 27 and the 70, but no harm, no foul. Short track race, and they continue on as the 85 of Paul Bliss looks to get that position from Doug Lemons. It's going to be the 04 looking to capitalize on this mess as well, and a bit of a Bible there actually out of the 85 reacting to the 70 truck on his outside. Also going to be looking at the 05 of Marshall Berry looking to get into this battle, and then it's our in-race reporter, the number 9, just a little ways back. That's Brad Neer, but these guys really vying for position, and as Trevin mentioned, these tires are allowing them to do this, but if we actually get a long run, we're going to see a very similar thing where the handling goes away to where these trucks are just fun to drive again. They can make these big moves, but a lot of big moves, almost like a dirt track race there at the start with Doug Lemons and Brandon Holder going back to back as far as corners, making passes, and they definitely made that restart exciting. But now Doug Lemons has to claw his way out of a hole, 6th place now after restarting 3rd.
Yeah, and exactly what led to that was him just unfortunately getting past, and then him thinking that he needs to give everything that he's got in order to get back to where he was previously. So he maybe got on that gas a little bit too hard as he's trying to pass number 85, and we do have a caution out on the track, Andrew.
And this one is going to once again involve bomb track fabrication playoff contender Everett Lane. Very unfortunate for him tonight. We'll see what happens here on your Amsoil race replay. And I have to imagine that there was help this time around. He already self-spun once, and yeah, it looks like he's going to have help there from Perry Snelson in the 6, actually, who was 6 laps down. Everett Lane 2 laps down. Looks like there's just a little bit of help there for the 24 who goes around, ends up overcorrecting and spinning that truck out in the center of the racetrack, but does not collect anyone else, I don't think, and gets back rolling.
It's very, very unfortunate for that number 24 to, again, pretty much in the same place, get involved in another accident, but it's just the usual mistime and miscommunication. Sometimes the small misplacement of a car. You think you have a little bit of room, and next thing you know, the person that you thought you had room next to, they suddenly go around just from a small tap. So, and it looks like we actually will have a few people heading into a pit road, and a little bit of a close call there on the entry, but nonetheless, 40 miles an hour pit speed. Let's see what everyone chooses this time around.
A variety of calls, it looks like. Here's Tim Marlowe is actually losing a ton of position to the pit lane. It looks like Sean Powell may have just taken the lead once more. No, sorry, that is a different truck. That is the 5 of Brandon Holder. So green truck's going to be confused that Brandon Holder going to retake that lead by virtue of Tim Marlowe having a bit of an issue in the pit lane. But for now, we're going to go ahead and speak with a very important figure here in the series. It's going to be Doc Stout. Doc Stout, do you have a copy? One more time, Doc Stout, driver of the 62. Do you have a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Well, Doc, glad to have you in the booth real quick. It's to my understanding that you're quite the important figure here in the Espeed Contender Series. So just go ahead and I'll give you the floor.
Spotters talking in the background. I didn't hear what you said.
Well, Doc, it's to my understanding that you're quite the important figurehead here in this series. I'll just go ahead and give you the floor, talk about whatever you've got to talk about. Certainly your race maybe not going the way you'd like to with all the damage on the right side, but still there's some hope to be found.
Yeah, we just try to stay out of everybody's way here now. Driver messed up and got up in the fence there a second ago, but having a blast to this point.
Yeah, you know, we've been talking with the Amsoil in-race reporter Brad Neer a little bit about how the tires have been taking to the track as rubber gets put down and how the handling is changing. What's your, I guess, opinion there as you've been running laps here?
Yeah, having a hard time getting a hold on the track, it looks like.
Definitely, we've seen a couple of self-spins, but I think this track is going to rubber up nicely and give you guys some grip. Doc, who makes it happen for you, and how are you involved with the Espeed Contender Series?
I've been running over here 4 seasons. Keith Stewart gets it done. Outlaws and me and Keith, me and Tyler, we get it done on the team, you know, and a few others I can't mention.
All right, well, sounds good. Thanks for your time here, Doc, and hopefully we're talking to you later on.
Yeah, hope so. Thanks, guys.
And again, that was Doc Stout, driver of the 62 truck here tonight. And he's relegated in 20th right now, but coming to the restart, Brandon Holder back in control, and actually it looks like he's taking the top line here this time, so a bit of a change up there for Brandon Holder. Likes top line a little bit better, so as he comes to the green flag here, it's Scotty Ryan sheltered on his inside, and green flag back in the air, and that's really a tame restart compared to the last few we've seen, as the 47 is going to hang on to a second place position, but Doug Lemon's looking on the top line for a couple of spots, but it's going to be Sean Powell on the bottom taking third away.
And Sean Powell will now be taking second place away from the 27 of Ron Shield as he makes the move to the inside in turns 3 and 4. Side by side off turn at number 4 at the start-finish line by about half a truck length was that number 41 Powell up the line. Hello, almost near contact there from the number 70 of Doug Lemons, as unfortunately Ron Shield is going to be getting shuffled back ever so slightly. So right now, it's a battle side-by-side between the 27 as Ron Shield tries to hold on for his position, that position number 4.
Yeah, great job done by these guys. 1 lap to go until halfway. The 27 getting high up on that racetrack. The 70 of Doug Lemon gets a little bit sideways. That allows a freight train to come on that top side. So the 04 is going to try and press on, see if he can do anything else. The number 70 just needs to get a little bit of a hold on himself and get ready to go as we cross halfway, Andrew.
Yeah, it's going to be Brandon Holder still in control of this race, coming around to complete the first half of this 200-lap event. And that was Sean Ryan actually making a move there on Doug Lemons. He tapped the wall at a turn 4, fell back behind the 70 truck, and now he's going to get back in line and see what he can do. Behind him, it's Paul Bliss trying to hang on to that spot from Marshall Berry. And Malik Ray, who we haven't talked about at all, he makes a 3-wide pass off into turn 1. He's last week's winner, and he certainly wants to win again. Malik Ray, the number 20, making some moves down on the bottom side. He now is up into, I believe, the 6th position, sorry.
Great move by Malik Ray to get up there. My goodness. That number 20 is definitely back on a roll after Las Vegas. He did start in the 25th position, so we haven't seen much of number 20 so far tonight, up until a few moments ago, rather. So, goodness gracious. Well, Sean Ryan, of course, in 5th, and looking back through the entire top 10 until I don't see a blue banner. Well, never mind. Caution is out on the raceway once again, and that looks to be the 56 of Kerry Stewart at the entry to pit road.
Gary Allen Stewart spun out in turns 3 and 4, as you mentioned there, Gary, and we'll go back and see what happens here in your Amsoil race replay. It looks like he was battling here with, that is the 2 truck. That is going to be James Torrey, and in front of him was the 95 who we saw from a little while earlier in this event. That's Tyler Hayes. So as they go off into turns 3 and 4 here, I think just a small bump from the number 2 sends that 56 around, and just kind of a lazy spin for that 56 ends up nosing into the wall just a little bit. Shouldn't be too bad as far as damage goes for that number 56, and he'll continue on with a bit of damage there. Brandon Holder going to lead this field back around the pit lane. I'm not sure if they're going to come in with such a short run that we had there, but it would certainly stand to reason based on history in this race so far that they will, and no driver staying out just yet. Actually, our in-race reporter is going to stay out, and that's Brad Neer.
yeah, just got to find different kinds of strategies to get yourself up to the front. You know, it was only a couple laps on those tires, so, you know, maybe just them wanting to get fresh rubbers, and Brad Neer just feeling confident with his truck after, you know, just a couple of laps on there. You know, at a track like this, although it's only a couple laps, these fresh tires could mean the difference of everything, and, you know, you just got to see how it works out for everybody going forward at this track.
And as we cross the halfway point of tonight's race, let's take a look at our iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game with professionally organized racing from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, and more. And we've been talking about playoffs all night long, guys. So up in the front, obviously this caution's going to shake things up. We're going to have Brad Neer, a playoff contender, a bomb track fabrication playoff contender, in the lead. He just stayed out under yellow, and hopefully he can do something here. He is our AMSOIL in-race reporter, but it's going to be Doug Lemons in second place, another playoff contender. Then Brandon Holder, Sean Powell, Malik Ray, Scotty Reinscheld, Sean M. Ryan, Marshall Berry, Paul Bliss, and Gregory Thompson, your top 10. I don't think there's a single truck in that group without a blue spoiler, guys.
More than likely, it does not seem to be that way as well. Well, continuing that trend, hopefully it's going to be the 21 of Kingsbury in 11th, 12th. Well, Keith Stewart is actually on pit road, so 12th will be Timmy Logwood Jr., 13th Bruno, 14th will be at Tim Marlowe, 15th is going to be Brett Keith, James Hickson, Tyler Hayes, Doyle Lawrence, James Torrey, and Doc Stout. Round out your top 20 as actually Doc Stout heads to pit road.
21st will be Ryan Lane. 22nd, Sean Mosiak. P24 and your 23 and your last car on the lead lap will be Kerry Allen Stewart. Everett Lane will be 24th. 25th will be Perry Snelson. John Verga, P26. P27, Brad Patterson. P28 will be Damian Plymesser, excuse me. And then 30th will be Bobby Everhart.
And that's been a look through your field for this midway race break. Quickly want to thank our sponsors. Bomb Track Fabrication specializes in building custom race cars and CNC machine chassis components for both racing and industrial sectors. All their components are made in the USA. For more information on how to get free shipping and 5% off your first order, go to bombtrackfabrication.com. They are the sponsor of the playoffs here in the Espeed Contender Series. Coverage of the Espeed Contender Series is brought to you by Joel Real Timing, the official timing software of LSRTV. Whether you spend your time on the sim, behind the wheel, on the pit box, or from the spotter stand, JRT is the go-to software for iRacing timing and scoring analytics. Get yourself a basic download for free, or go to get the pro version today at joel-real-timing.com. That's been a look at your iRacing Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities, visit iRacing.com to sign up today. Brad Neer, our AMSOIL in-race reporter, bringing us to the green flag here, and he's off and away already. A very early start out of that number 9 Chevrolet. Doug Lemon's going to fall into second place. Brandon Holder actually loses third to, that's Sean Powell on the top side. Malik Ray goes for fourth now on the bottom, and it's Scotty Reinscheld in sixth.
My goodness, Malik Ray is not wasting any time whatsoever to get back up to the front. He really wants to make himself known, and he's already done that even though he's already in. I'm pretty sure that he's thinking, well, might as well do it again since he's up there anyway. So battling that 41 for position at number 3 for the time being. That's Sean Powell on the top side. For the lead, however, it's going to be Doug Lemons looking to the inside of Brad Neer. And, of course, using the preferred line, it's going to be Lemons out front. Coming off of turn number 4, will he clear the 9? He does, as that battle for third still hangs on as they head back into turn number 1.
Here we go into turn number 1 as the 20 will be going underneath Brad Neer. As you can see now, the tires really coming into effect. Brad Neer now falling back further and further. Sean Powell now passes him the number 5 of Brandon Holder, attacking that number 9. Unfortunately, it just goes to show how important tires are here at a track like Richmond. You can't really do anything fancy. You need to come in when everybody else pits. Unfortunately, that strategy just did not pay off well for Brad Neer.
No, it did not. He loses some positions, goes back to 5th, but he's not too far back in all reality of things. He was, I think, outside the top 10 still at the time of that yellow, so he's going to gain some positions as the 04. Sean Ryan goes around, hangs on to it, maybe no, he gets into the wall down on the inside of the racetrack. Spins it around really lazily after that. No caution going to come out of that. A huge hit for this bomb track fabrication playoff contender in the 04 truck, but he gets back going. Again, no yellow. Let's see where he falls into line. He'll lose a ton of spots here. I think going to be our last car on the lead lap, quite possibly, and he is going to come around in 23rd position after that one, guys. A huge, huge hit to his ego.
It's very unfortunate for that 04 of Sean Ryan. He went from 7th all the way to what is now 23rd. So Marlowe may have spun as well. Very unfortunate for that number 28 machine for Marlowe. He's already way back in the 21st position. He did spin out on that same lap as well. Caution is out on the raceway.
And the caution flies once more here tonight, and we'll, of course, get an Amsoil race replay up on your screen. I'm still searching for it. There was a number of events going on. As you mentioned, Tim Marlowe went around, and I think just the stack-ups from everything happening there may have just led to maybe a lazy spin somewhere in the field, resulting in a bit of an incident there. And it's going to actually be Everett Lane who brings out this caution, this most recent caution. So we'll go back and get a look at this one. And yeah, he does get involved a little bit with Marlowe here. So again, you know, when those sorts of things all kind of stack up on a small racetrack like Richmond, things happen pretty quickly. And so that was a look at your Amsoil race replays. We come down the pit lane. Doug Lemons leads us back down. Malik Gray came in second. Sean Powell third. And I'm sure that's going to change up a ton here, Trevin. We've been seeing that trend all night long.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, all these drivers just doing everything that they can to get themselves into the next round of 12 of the Bomb Track Fabrication Playoff Series. And, you know, you just got to love the kind of strategy that these guys are taking, the risk that these guys are taking, especially Brad Neer. So, you know, it's really, really exciting to see how these drivers are going to continue to press on and continue to try everything they can.
Yeah, and of course, you know, every little bit of this race is going to be important. I've been mentioning that a pass now may not seem like a lot, but even a pass on lap 1 is going to affect the rest of your race in some way, shape, or form. So every little thing is important here in a race like this. It's kind of just how it goes, I guess. Actually, we have a truck who stayed out. It's going to be Doyle Lawrence in the number 8. I do believe he stayed out. I could be wrong, but I've got that number 8 truck staying out. So Doyle Lawrence making a big power move here, big strategy move to get the race lead. He'll be ahead of Doug Lemons. We'll see if that 8 ducks into the pit lane. But that's definitely going to shake things up. We saw just how detrimental that was to the 9 truck, the Amsoil in-race reporter of Brad Neer, the previous yellow, and I'm not sure that it's going to be the most beneficial call for that number 8. Even if he only got 2 tires, I don't know if it's going to help him out.
Now, for that number 8 of Doyle Lawrence, we'll see lights are still on, so more than likely he will not be able to head the pit road this time around. So, like you mentioned, we saw what happened with Brad Neer earlier on the last restart, so Lawrence is more than likely definitely gambling on trying to figure out what position or what strategy works out for him, and more than likely he's going to be trying this out to see if this works later on for him in the race.
And yeah, I mean, I quickly want to mention again that every little thing is going to impact the rest of the race. This could actually get him out of, I guess, the rear end of the field and actually get him into a decent position for the rest of the race. I'm not actually sure where he was running before that yellow, but he qualified 16th, so this could be big for Doyle Lawrence to have a chance at improving his overall finish, at least from where it might have been if he had stayed, I guess, within the mold and hadn't broken the mold here on this caution. So staying out could be a great call. Looks like he's going to take the inside line. Actually breaking the mold there from the last 2 yellows, but going back in line with what we've seen previously in this event. Brandon Holder, who we've been talking about a lot tonight, in the number 5 truck, going to line up 5th. I want to watch him because I think he's going to get rather aggressive here on these next couple of laps. Definitely trying to dig his way back out of the hole. Also have to watch Doug Lemons, of course. He's been one of the most aggressive on these restarts all night. And, of course, Malik Ray won last week at Las Vegas, and definitely I think we've seen a couple of aggressive restarts out of him lately, guys, so watch that number 20 off into turn 1 as well. Doyle Lawrence leading us back to the green flag through turns 3 and 4, gets on the gas real early. That loud pedal is screaming, comes down to the start-finish line. Green flag is back out. This race is restarted. Malik Ray slots back into second position. Now to the inside, looking to the inside of Doyle Lawrence. Is he there? He is. He's going to clear that 8 truck by turn 3 easily. Actually, out of turn number 2, he clears that 8. And now it's Doug Lemons battling back from the top side, makes a big power move to the inside of Doyle Lawrence and the outside of Brandon Holder.
And 3 wide behind them, 2 by 3 right now. So really, really exciting. These fresh tires are making all of this racing happen. So, you know, they're trying to get everything that they can in this short amount of time before they know their tires inevitably fall off on their cars. So just trying to get every position that they can. The 21 on that inside of the 41 of Sean Powell, and now the number 5 of Brandon Holder. Now Brandon going to go in front of Matt Kingsbury, trying to pass the number 8 of Doyle Lawrence as well. So all this exciting action will not be lasting long, so they know they have to get every position that they can early on.
And trying to get every single position as soon as possible. Lawrence trying to battle that 41 of Sean Powell. My goodness gracious. He really wants to get to that position, as right now Lawrence still hanging on to that outside, but currently running away with the lead is once again Malik Ray. Just like last week at Las Vegas, he's currently back in the lead, but for now though, everyone's focus is on that number 8 of Lawrence, who stayed out, heads into the outside wall off turn number 4, keeps it straight though for the most part.
And you see Doyle Lawrence losing a position there to guess who? Mike Bruno, who has clawed his way back from being relegated to the rear of the field after an EOL penalty after getting into Matt Kingsbury. And both of those guys are actually battling back in to the front of the field. Kingsbury in 4th. Mike Bruno now into the 7th position. That number 19 is rather quick, but is not in the Bomb Track Fabrications playoffs. And actually the 9 goes around. That's our Amsoil In-Race reporter, saves it. Brad Neer with an amazing save in turns 1 and 2.
Somehow an amazing save from that number 9. Goodness gracious, Brad Neer hanging on to that truck for dear life. Not sure if he didn't really get tapped from behind actually. He just trying to get into the inside of the 8 of Lawrence, and caution is out on the raceway now for a car up in the outside wall. That's the number 32 of Brent Keith.
And a playoff contender in Brett Keith gets in the wall, brings out this latest incident. Not sure how that one began, but everything was happening so quickly. We'll get a replay up presented by Amsoil here, as he was actually following Mike Bruno, who I was just giving some praise, and just gets loose in the center of turns 1 and 2, goes around, barely knocks that right front into the outside wall, continues on. Shouldn't be too hurt after that one. Of course, short track bumpers on these things are pretty tough, so Brett Keith will continue on. But again, keep that in mind. That's really going to impact his hopes here with the Bomb Track Fabrication playoffs going on. He actually comes in tonight 14 points above the cutoff, so he has some room to play with, but you definitely don't want to lose that room to play with going to a place like Charlotte next week, Trevor.
Yeah, and you know, you just want to make sure that you have the correct spot to solidify yourself into the next round. And you do not want to go to Charlotte with a must-win situation, because you know it is a 1.5 mile quad oval that is really tough to tame. You know, it's going to get so exciting there, and especially with you know, the final race in this first round of the Bomb Track Fabrication playoffs, it's going to get more exciting, and I'm sure you do not want to be in that kind of situation.
Blake Ray going to lead the field back out of the pit lane, and after that amazing save from our Amsoil In-Race reporter, we're going to go ahead and try and talk to him here under this caution. Trevin is with him.
Down here, well, not down here, but getting a little bit of a radio call.
Gotta be, because
Brad, you know, got a copy?
yes sir, 10-4.
You know, I was seeing from your previous couple of cautions, you know, you got a different kind of strategy going on. You stayed out on the pit, or from the pits. Really, what was your plan? And you know, we didn't really see that work out for you. So, what kind of strategy do you got going on next?
Well, the reason I stayed out was I wasn't gonna hold the leaders off. I just wanted to leapfrog a few of the trucks that I felt like I was faster than, and hoping for a quick caution there, and it came out. And then I was trying to go low under the 8 and had a little bit too much rear brake bias in it, and about nosed it in the wall there.
Yeah, and we saw you do a great save from that last one. Walk us through what was going through your head as you felt your car go around.
I was just hoping not to get hit. That's all I was doing, trying to keep it out of oncoming traffic and not hit the wall.
Absolutely, you did a heck of a job saving that thing. Well, Brad, thanks for taking time out of your schedule, and that was your AMSA in-race reporter.
Thanks, guys.
Good to talk to Brad Neer there. Again, our AMSOIL in-race reporter. And AMSOIL specializes in developing synthetic lubricants that offer innovative answers to the greatest challenges vehicles and equipment present. The extraordinary performance of AMSOIL synthetic lubricants in a range of markets, automotive, power sports, industrial, racing, and more, has made our influence in the industry unmistakable and our brand highly respected. Our commitment to innovation has resulted in legions of brand loyal customers. Find your local retailer online at amsoil.com. Got to thank them for being a great partner of the Espeed Contender Series. And as we get ready to restart again, it's been the Malik Ray story of late. Just a week ago, won at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Now looking to repeat that feat as he goes toe-to-toe with guys like Brandon Holder and Sean Powell, who've been controlling this race just about all night long. Matt Kingsbury, Doug Lemons as well. But honestly, I'm not sure if Malik Ray can do it. These guys behind him have been so hungry all night long, and Malik is locked in. These guys aren't. They're that much more desperate to get a pass made for the win. Coming to the green flag again. Malik Ray in control, gets going. Bit of a late start there, actually. Stacks up each line, actually. The outside line doesn't really get going, so very even restart behind Malik Ray off into turn 1. It's going to be Sean Powell taking over second position as Brandon Holder falls back. It's going to be Doug Lemons now looking to the inside in turn number 3.
Ordered out for the time being. As you mentioned, Lemons was looking for position. Well, now he's currently in 4th and quickly single filed out. Brandon Holder falls back only 1 position from his restart from 2nd to 3rd place, and everyone in the back trying to make some type of a battle, as right now the 19 of Mike Bruno is going to be a little bit sandwiched between 2 playoff contenders, but right now at 65 of 85 rather of Paul Bliss is trying to get to the inside. For the time being, though, he did not.
Yeah, absolutely. And these drivers, knowing that they don't have a lot of rubber on there right now, is looking a little bit further back as a little battle going on between the 85 of Paul Bliss and the 19 of Mike Bruno. Side by side going into turn number 3 right now. Mike Bruno on that top side. Paul Bliss trying to hold him off as well. The 19 getting great momentum off that top side, and now most likely will make the pass going out of turn number 2. No, Paul Bliss going to fight back on that outside. Mike Bruno doing everything that he can. You see just the amount of balance that is happening right now. So that just means that these guys are doing such a great job fighting tooth and nail to get everything that they can.
Ladies and gentlemen, you thought the top line was coming in earlier on in this race. Well, now it just gave Mike Bruno that position over Paul Bliss in the 85. That top line is really starting to come in at this point in the race. It just took a while. It took some rubber, took some heat in the track, and these guys really starting to utilize it for more than just defensive purposes. These guys, again, making passes at AMSOIL 19, got a position there over Paul Bliss. Now back up to the front. It's still Malik Ray leading over Sean Powell and Brandon Holder. Doug Lemons sitting back in 4th position. Then it's Matt Kingsbury and Scotty Ryanshell. These 3 behind the top 3 looking to gain some ground and keep their bomb track fabrication playoff hopes alive. Doug Lemons, I think, has been the strongest of those 3. Matt Kingsbury, though, has also shown a lot of speed. Doug Lemons, I think, has to be the favorite for the rest of this race. Granted, he's had a couple of tough breaks, guys. That truck has been alive no matter where he's put it.
Yeah, Lemons has been up essentially in the top 5, top 3 for, again, relatively this entire race for the most part. So it's great to see that number 70 machine, that Toyota Tundra, just stay up in that top 4. But don't forget about Kingsbury. He's running at the top 5, of course, but he does have Ron Shield right behind him. And then there, of course, is Bruno. But unfortunately, like we mentioned, that Bruno isn't in the playoffs this year, but he is doing an amazing job of sticking up with these playoff contenders. So Not really seeing anybody up here as of yet that's outside, but as these drivers make their way around the number 71 Bobby Everhart, everyone is still single file. We may be having a brewing battle for second place between Sean Powell as Brandon Holder is filling that mirror of the number 41.
And again, that's just the exciting part of this kind of series that we have for the bomb track fabrication playoffs. It's not just these top 16 drivers. It's all the other drivers on track. 30 cars total took the grid tonight here at Richmond, so that just throws a wrench into everything. It's not just them competing against each other, it's them competing against the regular season drivers as well. So everything just on the line here tonight, and trying not to let anybody else throw a spoiler into your race. Now these guys are catching up to that first place machine of Malik Ray, Sean Powell, and Brandon Holder, fighting against each other, but also trying to catch up to that number 20 machine who is in the lead. Don't want to let him get away too quickly, because he has already got a win, and I'm sure he'd love to get another win and let the other guys behind him fight it out for points. But I'm sure Sean Powell, he already has a win, so Brandon Holder, I'm sure he would love to get himself into the next round of 12 off a win.
Yeah, and of course, these two leading the field right now are locked in. They're the only two locked in. What makes things even more exciting looking ahead to Charlotte Motor Speedway next week is, barring a potential win from Brandon Holder, Doug Lemons, or another one of the 14 playoff contenders that are not locked in, there's just that many, 14 playoff contenders who are vying for a position at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And again, in the NASCAR trucks, it's almost like pin it, lick the stamp, and send it, because the downforce these trucks create and the lack of power compared to, say, a NASCAR Cup car really provides pack racing like we saw in the NASCAR All-Star race earlier this year. Not quite that extensive, but it really opens up a lot more drivers to come in and kind of provide a wild card competition, almost like Daytona or Talladega. And we saw that last week at Las Vegas. We're going to see that again next week at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It just opens the field up for more competitive drivers to get up there, even if they might not be so good at a place like Richmond Raceway here tonight. They have a chance at a place like Charlotte Motor Speedway, so keep an eye out for that. Again, 14 drivers currently vying for 10 spots left in the round of 12 in the bomb track fabrication playoffs. And again, barring a win from one of these guys who've been showing speed, like Brandon Holder, Doug Lemons, Matt Kingsbury, even Scotty Reinschel.
Yeah, this race essentially is going to be taking a while. This is a great run that we've had so far, that we're very close to the 50 laps to go at this point. And Malik Ray, of course, has been in control. Sean Powell, who is also locked in on points, I believe, actually, or at least on wins, though. He is being shown as locked in. So Sean Powell and Malik Ray, 1 and 2, they're both locked in. And then there's Brandon Holder, who's been running, I really don't think, except for pit stops at least, he's probably the only one that I can think of that has not literally left the top 3 for quite almost the entire race. So Holder really looking for that next position. Who's coming into this race third in points and diving it into the corner to get around James Hickson is that number 5. And then Doug Lemons is going to be following suit with a very sizable gap between 4th and 5th, as Kingsbury is holding off Reinschel for the time being. Reinschel takes the top side, actually. Not sure if it's going to Bruno Bonnet. That was just by the scrub off speed, but nonetheless, the Reinschel right on top of that back bumper, the number 21 to the inside, looks for position number 5 as the 27. Off turn at number 4 and clears the 21. And Reinschel is now up to 5th. Here comes Bruno to join in on this battle.
And watching these lap times click off, we're talking about how fast these tires fall off. They only had about 2 to 3 laps on their 20-second times for these tires there. They've been in the 21-second margin, going higher and higher in that 20-second margin for the past 15 laps. So, you can just see how quickly these tires do indeed fall off. And now the 41 next to Malik Ray going into turn number 3. We'll see what he does into this one. He's going to slide up a little bit, and now you see that little bit of damage on that right side of his car. This is short track racing, so your car is allowed to be bent up a little bit by the end of the night. So, it's not all about aerodynamics here in short track. It's just who can get around the track fastest and who can get around each other the quickest.
And if you're just joining us from home and you're wondering why a couple of playoff contenders are battling this aggressively with 50 laps to go, It's because Malik Ray in the 20 and Sean Powell in the 41 are already locked into round number 2 of the Bomb Track Fabrication Playoffs. And these two really can do whatever they want. They can drive as hard as they want. They can battle like this because even if one of them takes each other out, they're locked in. They don't have to worry about it. Really, what concerns me is just how close Brandon Holder is still getting to the back end of the 41. Now, obviously, I think they've spaced out enough to where he can do that, but he was really close to those two when they were side by side and really vying for a position, and just a slight mistake out of one of those two could have ended his night right there, but he's at least trying to keep with it, and I applaud him for that, but definitely has to keep in mind that these two are locked in and they can battle as hard as they want.
Yeah, like you mentioned, battling as hard as they want again, and they could even just ride in the back and not even worry about anything. But of course, well, we've seen what Malik Ray had to offer last week at Las Vegas. He locked himself in. Sean Powell, of course, he started third, so he's pretty much hasn't left the top 3 overall for this entire race. But Malik Ray from 25th up to 1st, so he definitely wants to get going. He wants to get another win, make a name for himself, and he's already done that last week. He wants to make his name a little, just that little bit bigger, essentially, expanding that ever so slightly, trying to overshadow everyone else in the playoffs, saying that he's going to hopefully send a message saying that he is the one to win the championship at the end of this season. But of course, there are 4 rounds to go through, and of course, Brandon Holder never count out at number 5 because he's been hanging on with these two for pretty much ever since the restart, and everyone's been single filed out, Trevor.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm just loving this top 3 battle that I'm watching here. These guys get so close and then they start to spread out a little bit at a time and then they get back. So, it's just really who can run this track so quickly and who can, get around with each other. This is a short track and there's really only one line here, but that top line's kind of coming in, but not quite enough. But just gotta love this kind of racing here. 39 laps to go here at Richmond, so the sense of urgency is there for all these drivers. Who can get it done quickly and who can get the job done?
More to your statement there, Evan, or Trevin, rather. I think to the contrary, these guys have really been moving up the track a little bit, these top 3. And just recently, I think they've started to move the left side tires down the track just a little bit more than they had been the last 10 laps, as they have seen Doug Lemon start to close the gap here to Brandon Holder. I think these 3 have been watching the gaps close, and down to the inside is Sean Powell looking for that first position, looking for the lead out of turn number 4. It's Malik Ray with the big run, but he's loose. Hangs on to it. That number 20 is certainly on the edge here, and sometimes you think the trucks are planted, they have a lot of downforce. No, these things still get very loose. Sean Powell looking back to the inside, can't do it, can't get the nose there. Will he look into turn 3? He looks, won't make the move just yet. Now he's going to plow off into the center of the corner, trying to get his nose to the inside, can't keep it there. Malik Ray gets that big run out of turn number 4.
Remember that we mentioned earlier in the race, the longer 2 drivers battle side by side, the more advantage it is for the driver behind those 2. In this case, well, that definitely worked out for Brandon Holder as he looks to the inside of the 41 and Powell into turns 3 and 4, and he wants to break up that group of the front 2 runners. Couldn't find any momentum though on the inside lane, and those tires more than likely are definitely wearing out, very much so.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about how much time these tires click off. It's only a certain amount of time that you have the kind of rubber that you do to make some passes with. Now it's just a matter of time of being patient, trying to force your opponent into a mistake. Coming up to lap traffic right now, trying to use lap traffic to your advantage and get around them using them. But the number 41 into the wall. That's going to bring the number 5 so close to danger right there. Now he's going to go to the inside of that number 41. The 41 of Sean Powell really bounces back nicely. That was really almost really bad for the number 41, but the number 5 is going to try and take advantage of that. And, just taking advantage of little opportunities like that. Brandon Holder had the door open, but unfortunately Sean Powell just closed it before he could make a really aggressive move.
Speaking of taking advantage of mistakes, Doyle Lawrence is creeping into this picture ever so slightly, gaining more and more time. That time it was about a half a tenth of a second, as actually I think contact behind him. They get that sorted out in those few lap tracks, but Doug Lemons rather, is really creeping into this picture, guys. He's been gaining time lap after lap after lap, and that lap maybe not quite as good. I think these top three are still a little bit faster, but that 70 definitely keeping himself in the picture for this race win. If something happens ahead, or if we get caution once more, I don't think you can count that 70 out just yet. Coming to 31 laps to go this time by, guys, almost down to the final eighth of this race, and things are just getting started.
Most definitely, and we mentioned lap times. Well, let's see, looking at the past lap times, of course, Brendan Holder did start in first. He's only in third now, so for the time being, it looks like the fastest driver on the track last time around actually was Brandon Holder with a 22.117. He's almost a full tenth faster than Malik Ray, but that time he goes very wide in turns 3 and 4, so unfortunately it's going to set his lap time back ever so slightly at 22.2, almost at 22.3 the last time around. So more than likely Brendan Holder will be trying to get as close as he can to that first place as possible without wearing his tires, but at this point the tires have definitely worn out. So the thing that I'm wondering is do any of these drivers have enough fuel to make it to the end? I assume they would, but that's something that can definitely change as quickly as about a lap.
Yeah, absolutely. And, drivers fighting for position right now. Number 19 of Mike Bruno just went around Scotty Reinshield on that low side. These tires are really becoming troubling for all of these drivers. So, just trying to hold on to your car at this point and trying to get yourself to the end of the race, like Doc Style was saying, you're just trying to get yourself to the end. You're just trying to get points at the end of the night, because this is a track where that you're going to have trouble with. So, you just got to survive this race, really, and make sure you're staying out of trouble.
Again, want to mention the cream rises to the top. Man, I can get words out. Rises to the top here in the latter stages. We've seen that recently. Malik Ray, Sean Powell have taken this race back from guys like Brandon Holder, Doug Lemons, and Matt Kingsbury, who dominated the earlier goings. But these two have since just got going and have really just left the rest of the competition. Maybe sans Brandon Holder, who has kind of kept with these two. But realistically, I think it really goes back to the two that are locked in to, I guess, have a chance at this race win and pretty much bar the rest of the field from getting a win. I don't know how you can bet against these two right now. If we get a caution, I would lean back in favor of the 70 of Doug Lemons, who has been amazing on restarts. But you have to keep in mind, Malik Ray has been just as amazing. So this is really just a matter of the cream rising to the top. These guys are all so talented that it's hard for them to beat one another. But Malik Ray and Sean Powell certainly have this thing figured out here.
Yeah, but don't count out that number 5 of Brendan Holder again, pole sitter, and he did set the fastest lap of the race. Not sure when exactly, but here's also an idea. The last lap time for Holder, at least, was a 22.242. The fastest lap, his best lap, was a 20.730. So essentially 2 seconds slower on these tires as compared to them having fresh tires. So like you mentioned, when or if a caution comes out, heavily on the if, is that the thing is, Brandon Holder, again, pole sitter, but he's also been battling and staying in front of Doug Lemons for the time being. But Doug Lemons is about 10 faster, and I believe Trenton also has an update on how much fuel they have that I questioned earlier.
Talking to Brad Neer right now, I went in there and I asked his crew chief if they had enough fuel, if they were hitting their numbers, and they said yes, they did have enough fuel. So basing that off of when he came in and when everybody else came in, it seems like they all do have enough fuel to make it to the end. Right now, speaking of Brad Neer, he is holding that 10th place position. He is under attack from Sean right now. Closely behind is Keith Stewart. So all these drivers just under a blanket for that top 10 position.
Yeah, I don't think fuel was ever a doubt for these guys once we got past halfway, and they're certainly all secure in that regard as Malik Ray continues to lead Sean Powell around this 3/4 mile speedway here in Richmond, Virginia. And really, it's going to be hard for anyone to upset anything, I think, at this point. even a restart, I think, is going to go in favor of someone in the top 5. We've been hyping these guys up all night long. If you get a restart, they'll be able to show why we've been hyping them up. It's actually a 3-wide battle ahead of the leaders right now, involving Doc Stout, Doyle Lawrence, and some more. These two are going at it. It's 62 versus the 8 right now, off into turns 1 and 2. The 8 truck running that high line, and I haven't been following this battle, but these two are actually the last two on the lead lap, battling pretty much to stay, I guess, in what would be the lucky dog position once the leaders catch them. This is bringing Sean Powell closer and closer to Malik Ray.
This is definitely going to help out Sean Powell for this battle. Probably going to use the leaders as the lap cars rather as a pick, and it's something that Brandon Holder tried to do earlier. He's followed off the pace of the leaders for the time being. So right now it's just about between the first two. Sean Powell looks to the inside as Malik Ray takes a higher lane. Can't get anything done as of then, although it is pretty understandable as Malik Ray, of course, trying to use that higher lane to his advantage. Hello, straight to the back bumper comes the 41, and, well, not really. He does have the momentum, just at the wrong points at sometimes, and you can see again trying to get to the inside is that 41 to Sean Powell.
Yeah, great job done by these guys. The sense of urgency and the presence of mind to know when to, save these tires and make a last-ditch effort is amazing. And, these laps are just clicking off. Already on lap 185, 15 laps to go here at Richmond, as we're going to take a look back at P11, just a hornet's nest right behind Brad Neer, still holding on to that 10th place position. The 15 and the 7, that's Sean and Keith Stewart battling it out. We'll see what happens right here as we continue to press on throughout this whole entire race. The 15 of Sean will be able to get that P11 position for the moment. And he's going to try and clear. The number 7 is going to slide up. No, is not clear. That's going to leave the door open for the 28. 3 wide down the backstretch. Contact.
Tim Marlowe around at the bottom. Man, that was exciting right there, Trevin. I don't know if they thought that was going to happen without something happening there, but that was certainly optimistic from everyone involved. I think they were trying to go 3 wide when they thought they were 2 wide, and unfortunately Tim Marlowe just gets into the side of the 15, and that was, I believe that was actually Sean Wolchik, who was, in the middle of that 3 wide sandwich and really did nothing wrong. They all just drove into each other, essentially make contact at a turn number 2, and they continue on. But now 10th place is going to be our Amsoil Lane Race reporter, followed up by Keith Stewart, a playoff contender. And these guys are actually some of the, I guess, midfield bomb track fabrication playoff contenders. So this is really, really key that these guys don't mess up their race further. We saw Tim Marlowe go around. He's a playoff contender, and unfortunately his night has taken a huge hit here, Trevin.
Yeah, unfortunately it has, and these drivers did everything that they could. The 28 saw an opening. Tim Marlowe, he was up in the front towards the middle part of this race, and it just gets to the point where you see an opening and you need to take it. And unfortunately, just 3 wide here at Richmond is never a good idea, whether it's the front stretch or the back stretch or any turn. So, great job done. I see why he did it, but unfortunately just did not get the job done here at 10 laps to go.
Yeah, 10 laps to go this time around, and we just saw Keith Stewart go by the 9 for the position. That was actually for the 10th position. Brent Keith now going to fall in line and try and get after the number 9 of Brad Neer. Then it's going to be Paul Bliss in the 85, who was actually fallen back considerably back into 13th position. Kerry Allen Stewart behind them. And there you go, the 32 going to the bottom side. He wants to get by the 9. That will be for 11th if he can make the pass. Brent Keith looking for that spot. And I think he had his nose there in ahead of the 9 in turn 3, but now the 9 is going to have that run off at turn number 4. Brad Neer clears that 32 again, back out to the front. The lead battle actually spaced out for a moment, but now we're catching up to some more lap shrugs, such as Tim Marlowe, who is a playoff contender, and more. And Sean Powell actually going to lose a ton of time in turn 1. Tim Marlowe is where he wanted to be.
That's very unfortunate for Tim Marlowe. From the lead at one point in the race to pretty much a lap down right now. So the laps are quickly closing. We are under 10 laps to go. I believe also we'd have 6 laps to go as Sean Powell nearly avoids another lap driver. I believe that's the 95 of Tyler Hayes. So goodness gracious, 7 laps to go more specifically. And These laps quickly winding down for number 20 of Malik Ray. Could he make it 2 in a row is the question, because Sean Powell, he's been running with that number 20 for this entire race, essentially, ever since the restart.
Yeah, and, we're coming down to the point of no return. Once we get a caution at the end of this, if we get a caution, past this lap, it's going to be the end of it. So, these drivers knowing that they're coming down to the wire, I'm sure they would love to see a green flag. We'd love to see a green flag as well. Great job doing this green flag run from the point where we had that restart, and making a great job around all of this lap traffic, because it is not easy. And we saw somebody get a little bit loose on during that 3 wide situation that was able to keep it rolling, and just great job done by all these guys to keep it rolling and have that presence of mind. But coming to 3 to go here, Andrew.
An impressive green flag run to close this race out for sure, Trevin. And really, it's even more impressive that these two have been going at it for 50 laps or so now, just nose to tail. Malik Ray and Sean Powell, I think even more than 50 laps, actually, if my memory serves me correctly. They've been lapping cars. They were actually in the clutches of Brandon Holder for a while, and now with 3 laps to go that time by, these two are still nose to tail. And honestly, Sean Powell needs to win this race, I think, to make a statement over Malik Ray. He is in this in the next round of the Bomb Track Fabrication Playoffs by virtue of the regular season. But if he can make this statement here tonight, if he can get by that number 20, he reasserts himself at the top of the food chain as black cars almost get into each other ahead. That's the 22 of Hickson and the 6 of, I believe, Snelson. Now on the bottom side, not taking a very good entry into turn 1. That was Malik Ray hanging on to that position for now.
And coming up to number 2, 1.5 laps to go this time around, as the 41 is trying to look for that first place position back again to the inside in turns 3 and 4 for the white flag this time around. This is 1 more lap for Sean Powell to see if he can get up to that first place position. Turns 1 and 2, no dice as of right now.
And Malik Ray leading the field back through the last half of this lap. Coming to the checkered flag. Oh, Kerry Stewart almost took out second place Sean Powell, but coming out of turn number 4, it's going to be Malik Ray for 2 weeks in a row. Gets into our in-race reporter, continues across the line. He wins at Richmond.
Yeah, great job done by all these drivers for that last ditch effort. Just great seeing all this fighting going on, and Malik Ray did it again, so that leaves one less spot that somebody can get in on points. So a lot of drivers going into Charlotte with a must-win situation. So great job done by Malik Ray, and can't wait to get a little chat with him.
And you see the congratulatory bump from Sean Powell. That was a great battle for the better part of the last half of this race. And Malik Ray going to burn it down for the 2nd week in a row here in the Espeed Contender Series on LSRTV. A great win here tonight from Richmond Raceway. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back to go over our results and talk to the top 5.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Assist to the front bumper, and he hits him again now. Rayon Fowler into the outside wall.
He's going to pass nearly 3 cars down that front straightaway, and he's going to get them all done with. What amazing.
Lead to the inside goes Logan Cloudman is going to touch in. Pit press sideways. What a save.
Look to the outside as Cronkite goes off. De Jong into 2nd place.
I'm going for the switchback. Oh, pinpoint driving.
It's howling down to the inside.
I tried this contact though. Wide left of the racetrack. Chris Renner drives it back down underneath, and he takes that 2nd spot right back. Joker goes to Garrett Lowe. Garrett Lowe should take victory with all that contact.
He's going to try and make the move around the outside the parabolka. work, but he's going to try and get the cutback here. Get the run out the parabolic. That's beautifully done there. Makashube, there's a little bit of door banging as well.
And welcome back here at the Richmond Raceway. Malik Ray goes back-to-back at Las Vegas Motor Speedway and Richmond Raceway to solidify himself at, I think, the top of the power rankings here in the Espeed Contender Series. He has definitely asserted himself as a championship favorite. Sean Powell backs up a strong regular season, though, coming home second place. Brandon Holder in third. Doug Lemons rounds out your top four. Then it's Scotty Reinscheld in fifth and Mike Bruno in sixth. Matt Kingsbury comes home in seventh place. Marshall Berry in eighth. Sean Ryan in ninth. And Keith Stewart rounds out your top 10 here from Richmond Raceway.
P11 will be Brent Keith. P12 will be Paul Bliss. P13, Gregory Thompson. Sean Molzak will be P13, P14. P15 will be Brad Neer. And that was your last car on the lead lap. P16 will be Timmy Longwood Jr., P17 Tim Marlowe, P18 Doc Stout, P19 Darrell Lawrence, and P20 Tyler Hayes.
And then at 21st to the end of the field, which is 30th, James Torrey, Terry Allen Stewart, James Hickson, Perry Snelson, and John Virgo, 21st through 25th. And then Ryan Lang, Damian Plemister, Everett Lane, Brad Patterson, and Bobby Everhart round out your 30 truck field.
And that's been the results here from Richmond Raceway. Again, Malik Ray really solidifying himself atop the playoffs, I think, at this point. I mean, he has to be a favorite to go into Homestead and win this championship. And quickly want to mention that the random telemetry driver is going to be Paul Bliss. I believe he's just sharing his telemetry file from this race. But going ahead to back to Malik Ray, I guess, putting himself atop the championship favorite position, I suppose. I don't know how you can argue against that number 20, and now we're going to have a chance to speak with him. Malik Ray, do you have a copy?
Yeah, what's up? How's it going, guys?
Well, Malik, 2 weeks in a row now from Las Vegas to Richmond, cross country, you assert yourself atop the playoff standings, and I think you have to be the favorite at this point, moving forward at least through round number one. You won at Las Vegas. It's almost pretty much, I guess, go back and put the CD player on repeat as we go to Charlotte, another 1.5. Just a great win here tonight, backing up your performance at Las Vegas. How do you move forward to Charlotte?
I'm looking forward to Charlotte. Charlotte's a pretty easy track. It's not that hard to drive. And yeah, it should be fun. I really like a mile and a half, so I expect to do good there.
Now, moving forward to the rest of the bomb track fabrication playoffs here, you just went toe-to-toe with your regular season champion, Sean Powell. Do you think you're going to be battling with him next week at Charlotte? And if so, I mean, how does this relate to the rest of the playoffs? Like, I guess you just went toe-to-toe with the guy for 75 laps.
Yeah, I expect Sean to be there every week. He's most definitely the guy to beat in this series, and it was really fun being able to run with him the last 50 or 60 laps. I thought he was going to be able to get by, but it just didn't work out. So.
And speaking of him nearly getting by, we saw you go through lap traffic time after time again, and you barely kept your truck ahead of his. I don't think there was a time where he even crossed the line ahead of you. What were you doing there to just hold him back?
I was pretty tight in fourth gear, and I was having to downshift in the corners. That's the only reason why I won, was because I was having to downshift. He was a lot better than me in the center of the corners, but because I was in downshifting coming off the corner in third, it helped me get off a lot better.
Well, Malik, it was certainly a fantastic performance coming from 25th to win here tonight at Richmond Raceway. Congratulations on last week's win as well. And as we move forward to Charlotte Motor Speedway next week, who makes it happen for you? We'll give you the floor.
I'm Colin Keister. He helped me out a lot this week with the set and the set from last week. And you guys for broadcasting, and JDR Graphics for my paint schemes, and Kick-Ass Beef Jerky for hopping on board this year. I really appreciate all you guys.
Again, congratulations on a great run here tonight, Malik. Hopefully we're talking to you next week as well.
Thanks, guys. I hope so.
And looking back through the results, we just mentioned a big old battle between Malik Ray and Sean Powell. Gary, I believe you're sitting trackside with Sean Powell, who finished second.
Yep, sitting here with the second place finisher, the driver of the number 41, Sean Powell. Well, Sean, congratulations on your second place finish. You battled with that number 20 throughout pretty much ever since lap 133, I believe, our final restart of the race. My goodness, how did you manage to hang on to that back bumper, the number 20?
I had to keep it. I just kept over the track best I could. It was a part of the race where I just didn't keep up the track. But it was tough, man. I knew it was going to be tough to get around them. And we're pretty much equal, just besides I was better in one turn, he was better in the other turn. So I can't complain with a second place finish, though.
Yeah, it's definitely an amazing feat to accomplish, to finish in second. Of course, you are already locked in, so not really a lot of pressure for next week at Charlotte, but well, at least, yeah, definitely next week at Charlotte, but more than likely, what are your thoughts heading into Charlotte next week?
Just go in there like any other week and just do my thing. That's what I'm going to be doing all the way through the chase. And just, I'm not going to try to have too much pressure on me, but that's the key, though. Just less pressure, go for it.
That is definitely a very good motto to have. If there's less pressure, go for it. That is definitely amazing. So, of course, before we let you go celebrate your second place win, who would you like to give a shout out to for your second place finish here tonight? Who would you like to thank?
I'm going to give y'all a shout out for broadcasting the race. Just Keith Stewart for the series, Amsel, Gen X Racing, and that's about it, I think. If I forget someone, whoever sponsored the race, thank them too. I think it was Doc, but I can't remember.
Yeah, actually was Doc Stout. So we are going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations again, Sean Powell, on your second place finish. Well, that was the driver of the number 41, Sean Powell, and I believe Trevin Valderrama is standing by with the 5 of Brandon Holder.
Down here on pit lane with Brandon. Brandon, watching you go throughout this whole entire race, you started first, finishing third. We saw you lose a couple positions on pit road. Really, what happened on pit road for you tonight?
I don't know. I usually have pretty good stops, but I couldn't get very good stops tonight. I kind of figured out what I was doing there towards the end. I was getting better stops, but wasn't good as I needed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that it was not the night that you wanted it to be. And, going into tonight's race in third place with 28 points on the Bomb Track Fabrication Playoff Grid, I'm sure you wanted to get a win to solidify yourself into the next round. But going into Charlotte, really, what are you looking to do?
I should be locked in. I had the night I needed. I ran pretty conservative, didn't want to stay out of wrecks. I think if I finished in the top 24, 25, I'd have been locked in. So just wanted to make sure that I achieved that goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And, looking forward to the next round and the rounds after that, really, what is the track that you are most concerned about?
Probably Kansas. I think it's Kansas, Talladega, and Dover. Dover, it's easy to get caught up in some stuff. Talladega, we usually run good at the plate tracks. If we have just a little bit of luck, we should be good there. But Kansas is kind of a crapshoot sometimes. I know it's awkward to say that instead of Talladega, but with the high line that you have to run, if a guy has trouble in front of you, man, it's hard to miss him.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be looking forward to that one as well as many more of the playoff series here on LSRTV. Before we let you go, any sponsor shout-outs? Who gets it done for that number 5 machine?
Yeah, I got to thank Steed Brothers Trucking, Kevin Steed, for all the help he's done for me. He's a really good guy and helped me out a lot. Sim Racing Apps, Pitboxes.com, and Barry Family Racing. I also got to thank the team, man. They hammered away at the set this week, done a very good job. It was a good set. And looking forward, hope to get them in locked into the next round. And also, I appreciate LSRTV. Y'all's doing a great job.
Thank you very much, and hope to speak to you next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And we'll throw it back to Andrew for the next interview of Doug Lemons.
Well, Trevor, I talked up Doug Lemons all night long, and Doug certainly had a truck to get it done in the early goings, but just fell back. Doug, do you have a copy?
Oh, yeah.
Doug, again, you were great all race long, it seemed like, but you really were strong in the early goings, and eventually there was almost just a shift, I guess, as the track changed. What relegated you to 4th instead of giving you a chance to win this race?
I didn't make the right adjustments. That's plain and simple. Pilot error.
Well, it certainly didn't show too much. You still come home 4th in tonight's race. You did a great job, and I think in terms of the Bomb Track Fabrication playoffs, this is what you needed to do. Even if you don't win, you come in with a large gap already back to the cutoff line. 17 points plus what you're gaining here tonight. It has to feel really good.
Yeah, we did the math earlier, and I think I only had to finish top 10 to get locked into the next round. So, yeah, I'm pretty pleased about that.
And so looking back to last week at Las Vegas, how is that going to apply as we move forward from this Cascade Hollow 200 to the race at Charlotte Motor Speedway, just trying to pretty much, I guess, maintain? You really don't have to do anything else other than just probably start the race.
Yeah, well, I don't like to just start and park. I'll be trying to win, you know. There's nothing better than a win.
We'll certainly be looking for your number 70. We've been talking about the later rounds in this playoffs so far tonight when we've been talking to the previous drivers ahead of you. I guess, what is the round that you think you have the best chance in to kind of, vault yourself atop the playoff standings? We saw Malik Gray really take control of round 1 so far. Where do you think you can have a similar performance?
I do really well at Watkins Glen, the road course stuff. I have a good chance there. All the tracks are decent, you know. Brent Keith and I work real well from GVR Racing, so we got something for about every track, so we'll be there.
Well, again, we'll certainly be looking for you. A great performance here tonight. Who do you have to thank for that great run in the number 70?
Well, I'd like to thank my teammate Perry Snelson. He does a lot of help building the tunes. Obviously, Brent Keith from GVR. I'd like to thank LSRTV, Doc Stout for putting on the race. Again, Brent for the cool paint job, and Keith Stewart for doing the league.
All right, well, Doug, thank you for your time. Again, hopefully we're talking to you next week. A great run here tonight. We'll be looking for you at Charlotte.
All right, Andrew. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
And that was Doug Lemons. Talked him up a bunch tonight. Comes home 4th in the Cascade Hollow 200. A great performance there. Looking forward to Charlotte. Now, Gary, you are trackside with Scotty Reinscheld.
Yep, standing next to the number 27 machine here with the driver of the number 27, of course, Scotty Reinscheld. Well, Scotty, you came into this race 4th place in the Bomb Track Fabrication playoff standings, and you finished in 5th place, last driver in the top 5 as Bruno finished behind you, but nonetheless 5 positions up from where you started. So how was that race out there tonight? How's the track surface? Because that long green flag run at the end had more than likely killed your tires by the end of that.
Yeah, the track got pretty neutral, really. It was fairly easy to drive. This isn't a strong track for me, and I really just wanted a top 10 finish tonight, so to bring it in 5th, pretty happy with that.
You definitely pulled that off to a great delight. 5 positions extra as well from, again, where you started. So as we head into Charlotte next week, what are your thoughts on that? And what do you think is going to be the most challenging track for you within the next, 7-8 races?
Next week, I'm looking forward to. I like Charlotte. I like that it's afternoon. It should make it more of a driver's type race. And it should spread the field out a little bit. I think it'll be a good track. I'm really gonna try the same mentality, not really trying to kill anything, just trying to bring it home in one piece and get a good finish. As far as the rest of the playoffs, probably my biggest hurdle will be, I believe we maybe go to a plate track, and I don't remember if it's Daytona or Talladega, but I really despise plate racing, and it's painful to me, and I really don't like much about it. But so that's going to be the hard one for me. I feel like a lot of times it's more luck than anything on whether you just get to the end of those. But other than that, I'm pretty comfortable with the rest of them. Not really that strong at Watkins Glen. I think we go there, but I think I'll do okay. But yeah, probably the plate track, or whichever one falls in our playoff here, will probably be my biggest hurdle.
And that will be at Talladega, so at least on the broad side, there is wider room there at Talladega, so you don't really have to be worried for a little bit of a thinner track width, essentially, for Daytona. So we also do head to Watkins Glen over on the 31st of October, so definitely going to be very interesting to see that road course there. So before we go ahead and let you go, we're going to open the floor to you to give a shout out or thank whoever makes it happen for you for this 5th place finish.
Oh yeah, for sure. The team Gen X Racing, a lot of good guys. Everybody puts in help at different areas and definitely makes a difference. Corey for being up on our crew chief stand, calling some stuff out for us, and Sean's help with the setup, making sure we have a fast truck every week, and you guys making sure we got a good broadcast for the people at home. I know my family and friends really enjoy watching, and Keith and Espeed for putting on everything. And our playoff sponsor for sure. I didn't thank them last week, but they're is it Bomb Track Fabrication? They really did a nice thing sponsoring our playoffs, so we appreciate that.
We appreciate you coming out here with all these other drivers and putting on the show for us. We're going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations again, Scotty, on your 5th place finish.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
That was the driver of the number 27, and we'll hand it back over to Andrew.
Thank you, Gary. And I mean, what a race this was. There was action from the drop of the green flag. We came in, we saw Brendan Holder really command the early goings, then lost the lead. And from there, between Tim Marlowe, Doug Lemons, Matt Kingsbury, the lead changed hands as many times as you could want it to here at Richmond Raceway. It was a very exciting race. Obviously, the Espeed Contender Series putting on some great racing, and we have a lot to look forward to the rest of this season. Gary, what were your thoughts?
Well, it was definitely very interesting to see the race here tonight, especially after the second half. Everyone has definitely taken advantage of this track as much as possible. Sean Powell had a few attempts, and, well, we definitely haven't seen the loss of Brandon Holder for this week, so I expect to see him back up front within the top 3, or at least the top 5, rather, by next week at Charlotte.
Yeah, definitely. Watch for everybody who was good tonight to be even better next week at Charlotte. And the guys who maybe struggled tonight, watch for them to be basically the wild cards next week at Charlotte. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, the nature of a 1.5 And the NASCAR trucks really brings a lot of wild cards into play, so watch for the action to just pick up tenfold going forward to Charlotte Motor Speedway. But also, it will be during the day, so that's going to change things up just a little bit. Trevin, what are your thoughts moving forward through the chase?
You know, everything will be on the line here in the bomb track fabrication playoffs, and you know, all these drivers are going to try everything that they can to get stuff done. And you know, you just got to love the sense of urgency all of these guys perform and put on week in, week out. And I'm just really excited to see how next week will play out for all of these drivers still inside of this playoff of round of 16 and trying to fight their way in. And you know, the guys on the lower side like Keith Stewart, Sean Ryan, Everett Lane, and Tim Marlowe still fighting to get themselves into that next round. So I feel like Charlotte will be the great equalizer here because it is during the day and it will make it that much harder to run on.
Again, such an exciting bomb track fabrication playoffs so far. Such an exciting race tonight here from Richmond Raceway. Got to thank Cascade Hollow Motorsports for sponsoring tonight's event. But that does it for us tonight here from the Richmond Raceway. We hope you join us again soon as we have 4 races live on LSRTV next week. You can find our full broadcast schedule at livesimracing.com. But the best way to stay up to date with us is through social media. You can like us at Facebook at facebook.com/LSRTV official and follow us on Twitter at LSRTV. For more information, sorry that got messed up. On behalf of our entire team at LSRTV, for myself, Andy Cardinale, Gary Weaver, Trevin Valderrama, and our producer Hugo Louise, we want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate Malik Ray for winning tonight from Richmond. Bomb Track Fabrication Playoffs continue next week on Wednesday, October the 3rd from the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. That race and every race of the 2018 Espeed Contender Series Playoffs can be found right here on LSRTV, your home for sim racing. Until next time, good night.